to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is the Jagdpanther. It's a tier 7 German tank destroyer. It's located on the north spawn of Steppes, and this one's under the command of Magyver1970. And game's about to start. Okay, well there's two guns you can have with the Jagdpanther. You can either have the 88mm, which is the same gun you find on the Tiger 2, or you can have a 105mm. I think most people actually go for the 88 because of course the penetration as well as the speed of reload. You'll see Jagdpanther's looking quite a long way ahead of himself. It was Hitler who actually named the Jagdpanther the Jagdpanther. It's based on the fact that this tank was a derivation of, or tank destroyer version of the Panther tank, the Panzerkampfwagen 5, rather I should say. It was a bit of a wasted one, a bit hasty on the snapshot there. Standard reload is 7.8 seconds. My eyesight lets me down. 7.63 seconds, and MacGyver's got 6.96. Now the standard alpha for this gun is 320 rather, and 200mm of penetration with standard ammo. With the APCR it goes up to 244. Now he was spotted there, and he's got fairly good armour at the front. You can see that he bounced around from the 57mm gun on the T50, and also one from a M10, that's a 76mm gun. But artillery, as always, is the bane of a Jagdpanther, mainly because it's oh, got a nice one into the T50, but it's a low roll, 291. It's the bane of these tanks because they are fairly slow to traverse. They're not as agile as some other tank destroyers. But of course, the last tank destroyer that was designed before this one was the Jagdpanzer 4, the one derived from the Panzer 4, the Panzer Mark 4, and that wasn't so successful as this one, but there was more of them seen around. They made 415 of these. It's got 11-degree arc either side of the centre line, so 22-degree arc. But of course that traverse can be a bit of a problem if somebody gets close to you and gets behind you. 55 kilometers an hour maximum speed. Now it does have, in actual fact, I think the gun arc was slightly greater, 12 degrees actually, in reality. Oh, that was an accurate shot there. Yes, Wargaming have actually only given it 11 degrees. It actually had 12 degrees arc either side. And there was two different versions of the Jagdpanther. One version had just a straight gun barrel, and the other one had a two-piece gun barrel. And of course you can see that, if you look at the gun barrel, you can see that if there's a little join at the centre where one barrel actually pushes into another, that's the Mark II version. That's the Mark I version I think he's got there, although it does have the muzzle brake. Both guns are fairly good because they do have fairly decent DPM and damage. The 105mm one actually has fairly good aim time, as well as the Alpha of course, but it's the ammo that's really cheap for the 88mm. So the armour's fairly weak at the front of the vehicle, 80mm, 50 at the sides, 40 at the rear. And it's also quite a big TD, so you'll see that when you see the actual layout of it. Because it's so big, it's actually camos is not that good. Now there is a rumour that one of these actually did encounter the T26E4 Pershing, Super Pershing, the one that was modified and was taken out by one of them. In fact, it's also believed, although not definitely proven, that there was a group of IS-3s fresh out of the factory that encountered a group of Jagdpanthers and took them out. So it's not confirmed that that ever happened, although the IS-3 only came into existence, or they only started actually manufacturing them in enough quantity just before the end of the war, and the group of IS-3s actually encountered the Jagdpanthers after the armistice had been signed, or the peace had been signed. So it may have been that they encountered the enemy tanks and the enemy tanks hadn't got word that the war was over, although nothing has been proven that it actually did happen. No, it's not getting much business. It looks like to me like the enemy is still on this side of the map, because they've lost on the other side of the map. And although we're 3 tanks up on the enemy, no, we're only 2 tanks up on the enemy now, there must be a considerable force just down the other side line of those bushes. I think MacGyver's given up waiting and he actually wants to get into it. The gun depression is fairly good. It's 8 degrees of gun depression. You'll see the hull is slightly, well, it is big, but it's slightly tilted upwards at the front. You can actually see that in the designs on the armor and the module layout. Oh, M10. Goodbye, Mr. M10. That was rather unfortunate for him. Okay, there's that T150. He's just in that little corner, that little dip where the encounter cap is. And the T67. Oh no, that was unfortunate. T150 just blasted our T67 out of existence, but oh, and that's the revenge. So second kill for MacGyver. There's still quite a few enemies out there. 7 enemies in total so far. This is a tier 7 battle, of course, with tier 5 tanks in it, so some of the tanks he's coming up against not very powerful, but there is a Panzer in the enemy team. And of course that, as you know, is the Panther with the tier 4 turret, or tier 5 Panzer 4 turret, I should say. Of course that's a rather OP machine. Ow. Yeah, okay, well, Amaract. You'll notice when you see the modules why he got Amaract. Ow, and he's getting hit again by that BK. His team not doing a very good job of protecting him. He's still Amaract, but he's got rid of it now. He actually is carrying 2 Amaracts, 2 repair kits rather, into battle. He used the small repair kit to get rid of the Amarac. Okay, there's the KV-1 shielded. Nice! Got a high roll into him for 377. Come on, finish him off with the next round. And yep, that's 3 kills. There's 4 enemies left. In fact, the enemy Panzer Fumfir has actually been killed, so he doesn't have to worry about that guy anymore. And there's the enemy Arty, the gorilla. Well, there's 2 of them, the M12 and the gorilla, but yeah, that's an easy one. So 4 kills, he could still get a top gun, but he needs to kill at least 2 more. He needs to move quickly as well, because our team are actually coming in from the west. So if he doesn't move soon, he won't be able to get that top gun. There's the M12 up down in the corner. Yep, nice shot. Come on. Yeah. Oh, got a nice hit, but a low roll, and he has gone. So he has to kill both of the remaining enemy tanks if he's going to get that top gun at all. Nice bit of revenge on the VK3001 after he did damage to us. Now can we get the kill shot? Yep, no problem at all. And that means there's only one enemy left, and that's an E25. And he bounced around from the E25, so he knows where he is. He's up in that little hidey hole. And that means this little dash here across the ground is going to be under fire from the 75mm gun. And the E25 can see us. Okay, so now is he going to be able to get a shot from that on that guy? He's in the corner. Okay, the Cromwell's gone round, so he's going to be the focus of attention. In fact, he dies. We miss ricochet off the front of the E25. Remember, he's only got 60, it was the 80mm, I can't remember, 60mm at the front of the vehicle. I think it's 60, yeah, 30 on the sides. Okay, so E25, we want to hit the right-hand side of an E25 because that's where the ammo racks are. So if we can get the E side, or the right side, as we're looking at it. He's baiting that M10. Here we go. Right, now this is where it gets fun. Oh! He ricocheted again, but now he's gone into a face clinch. He gets some RAM and finishes him off with the next round. And that is the Top Gun. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was an ace tanker game for MacGyver1970 in the Jagdpanther. He managed to get a duelist for taking down 2 tanks who damaged him, a fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points with his own vehicle, a steel wall for blocking the most damage in the game, that's 11 hits and at least 1,000 hit points of damage, a high caliber for dealing the most damage in the game, and a top gun for getting at least 6 kills. He got that last kill with the E25, just overwhelmed him with that 88mm round just going straight through his armour. He didn't need to aim for any module, he just punched him out. Let's have a look at team score. Well, there you go. The highest damage with 3,085 hit points was MacGyver. But if you notice, the E25 on the enemy team managed to get 3,096, which means he got more damage than MacGyver did, but MacGyver got the high caliber. So that means the E25 must have hit one of his own teammates with a round and got disqualified, and passed the total over to MacGyver. So he picked up an award, mainly because the E25 was a naughty boy. There you go. So don't hit your teammates with any round, because if you do, it means you'll be passing medals to other people who managed to get at least 20% of the enemy hit pool. And of course, MacGyver had 20%, so that meant that he was eligible. He got the highest number of kills in the game with 6. The next highest being the E25 got 4 kills. 3 kills went to the Panzerkampfwagen von Fear, that tank that I did worry about because they are rather OP. And when it came to base XP, he's got that one as well. So even though he actually doesn't have the highest score on highest damage, he definitely got the tops on 2 other columns. He's got 1,122, the only player over 1,000. Second highest was the E25 with 848, and the third highest was the M10 RBFM with 812. He fired 15 88mm rounds, got 14 direct hits on the enemy and 11 penetrations, damage of 3,085 hit points, of which 475 were longer than 300 meters, 12 hits received, so qualified for that one as well, 5 penetrations, 7 non-penetrations, and 850 hit points of damage blocked by armor. The armor's fairly well angled, you'll see that later, but it doesn't block every shot. 8 enemy vehicles were damaged, 6 were killed, 144 hit points of damage assistance. He earned 31,957 credits from the game, 16,778 from personal missions payout, and after repair, ammunition, resupply, consumables, he actually ended up with a small loss of 496 credits. And I'm afraid, yes, he did actually use some premium ammo, and that's why all his profit dwindled away. 1,122 XP, total was 1,683 altogether, so a fair amount of experience points, but not a lot. So let's have a look at the armor profile for this tank. Well, this is the Jagdpanther. As you can see, it's slightly sloped upwards, or at least the tracks are. It's nicely sloped armour on the front, very well. And in fact, that's why it does actually contribute to shells bouncing off the front of the vehicle. But it is only 80mm of armour thick. And that gives, with the sloping, an effect of about 116 to 120 or thereabouts. So fairly good armour. If you want to get a weak spot, there's the driver's port there, so you can actually punch through that, but it's right next door to the mantlet. The mantlet is very strong, so you don't really want to hit the mantlet. You ideally want to hit the driver's port, but if you can't hit the driver's port, then you want to go lower down, because the lower plate on this one, 50mm of armor, which actually effective with that angling goes down to 76. So it's much easier to get a penetration from the lower plate than it is from the upper plate of this vehicle. The size of the vehicle, 50mm, which, because it's fairly slab-sided, so it's got a slight angling, but it's not going to give you much in the way of effective armor. It's only 50mm. At the rear, 40mm, and it's only giving you slightly more than that. So again, you can punch through the sides and the rear. Very difficult to punch through the front of the front upper plate. Better to go for the lower plate if you can. Let's have a look at modules. Well, if we look at the modules, you can see why these tanks get ammo racked so often. They do get ammo racked. We've got the driver on the right hand side of the tank, and right next door to him is a big ammo rack which extends all the way to the back of the crew compartment. And on the other side of the vehicle is another big ready rack. Yes, so you can see why. If you can punch through the sides of the vehicle, and most people can, yeah, they're going to get an ammo rack, and that's going to blow the thing apart. We've got the gunner down low. Actually, you can see this. He's actually slightly below the driver there on that position. And the commander, the TC, is up high above him. And we've got the loader on the other side of the vehicle. We've got a driver's mate on the left-hand side and the radio next to him. Got the transmission right out front in the vehicle. Now that means that if you do punch through the lower plate, you're more than likely going to get engine damage, which is going to slow this tank down. So you will probably immobilize him if you can punch through this area. You can't guarantee you're going to get an immobilization, so obviously you're better off going for the tracks here at the side to track him and then get behind him. But if you can punch a shell into the sides of the vehicle, you're either going to hit an ammo rack, or you can hit the fuel tanks, and there's fuel tanks either side of the engine at the back, with the transmission going all the way to the front of the vehicle. So lots of ammo racks for you to get, or fires from this vehicle. So weak side armor. If you can land an artillery shell on top of it, yes, you've got thin armor on top, so you can do a lot of damage. Jagdpanthers are notorious for ammo racks and also getting module damage. So there you go. That's the modules for the Jagdpanther. I hope you enjoyed that game. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And please do remember to let other people know that we're giving all of the proceeds of our channel to the Red Cross Ukraine appeal. So the more videos you watch, the more money we can send to help the refugees. So please watch as many as you can. Thanks for watching.